I don't need to tell anybody out there that sometimes life gets away from you, just kind of runaway trains on you, and you end up having to do a whole bunch of stuff that you wasn't in the plans, you weren't necessarily dialed in on. Happens all the time. You know, your kids get sick, your partner gets sick, or something happens that changes what you've got going on, and it derails what you had planned. So because podcasting is a hobby for me, and I don't do any advertising on here, so you'll never hear commercials or any of that shit. But this is my hobby. It means sometimes this is kind of the first thing that has to be put on the back burner for a day or two, or sometimes more than that. And it just is what it is. I wish it wasn't this way, but you know, I don't have a personal assistant and somebody to run around and do stuff for me, so I have to do it all myself. And when my partner gets migraines and stuff like that, it means I have to do the lifting with running the kids around everywhere and stuff like that, and taking care of her and the dog. And the dog's having her own problems right now, so it's been a week. But that's all small potatoes compared to the world, isn't it? Let's talk. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm the Trent from the title of the show. I'm trying something a little different technically today, so I'm recording at a different level. And honestly, I only hope it helps, because I've noticed, I got some feedback that said I was a little hot. I'd come across a little hot right out the gates. I'm going to tell you, this is a personal preference of mine. I prefer a podcast be too loud in its recording than too soft, because when you, as the end user, are trying to dial it in for you, you can always go down. But if the level is low at the beginning, you can only go up so far. So I have a tendency to release pretty hot podcasts, hot industry term, high volume, kind of sharpish. So sorry about that if you don't like it, but you can turn me down. That's perfectly accepted. Listen at a comfortable level for you. I also kind of jokingly say, well, I think that the things that I say are relatively important, so some solid volume is probably not a bad thing. So I'm going to go with that as my multi-layered explanation. New recording level today. I'm down a bit, so hopefully this works out nicely. I've taken a listen. I still sound fine. That's cool. So what do we want to talk about? There's nothing going on in the world. There's never anything going on with the Trump regime. So I want to talk about a Motown song. It was originally written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong for the Motown label in 1969. And the song is it's a pretty self-evident, it's an anti-Vietnam War protest song. And the Temptations were the original vocalists behind it. And the original version of the song appeared on the Temptations' 1970 album Psychedelic Shack. And their version of this song, which is called War, What Is It Good For, was totally different from the version that we're familiar with. It's way more chill. Anyway, the Temptations didn't release it as a single from their album, but there was some call among Motown radio stations and fans for the song to be released as a single by some means, because it was real popular. The band wasn't going to do it because they didn't want to release it as a single, because it would alienate their more conservative, read pro-war fans. So it was allowed to be redone by a different artist, and his stage name is Edwin Starr. And Edwin Starr did his version of the one that we know. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, mama. He did a real like James Brown funk soul style vocal to it with the screaming, and it's an iconic song released in the summer of 1970. And it was number one hit on the Billboard charts. It made Edwin Starr's career. Here's a guy that had, he had a moderate success just before in 1968. With an album release, he was on the way to being a decent earner as a musician, and war pushed him into hey, he's like a star for now. Anyway, Edwin Starr was responsible for this awesome protest song, and I got to thinking about what's going on in the Middle East right now, and in the back of my mind, Edwin Starr's vocals are just screaming about, the only friend of war is the Undertaker, and mothers crying and young men dying, and man, I'm like, man, Edwin Starr was on it. I mean, this was, of course, a protest song about the Vietnam War, which was a war that was wildly unpopular, and at the very beginning, it was. I think it had like 60% approval, but it declined pretty quickly. And it declined really fast when we went, hardcore, drafting people and putting people in the jungle, soldiers in the jungle. And it was a totally different style of warfare than we'd ever fought before. We'd never done jungle warfare. Korea was a different type of fight entirely. Yeah, it was just unpopular. People didn't get it. They didn't think it was worth it. Should sound familiar. So I was thinking about this. I'm listening to a lot of pods about the war that's going on right now. We don't even have a name for it. We're the Iran fuckery. I don't know. We're in week 4, and we still have no idea what the actual... I guess I should start at the beginning. How are we supposed to do these things? If you're going to do a military incursion in a foreign land as the president, as the executive branch, the commander-in-chief, what you're supposed to do is you take your argument for doing this to Congress, and you make your case for an authorization of military force. Because Congress is supposed to be the ones that start any wars. The only people who can declare war is Congress. And we don't ever we never wanted before now, apparently, any one person being able to like unilaterally say, hey, I want to start a war with insert whoever here. Because that would be bad. And what we're seeing is it's bad. It's bad. The Mad King continues to just break all the laws and ignore the Constitution. And he joined in with Israel on this joint aerial assault of Iran without approval from Congress. It's extremely expensive. All of the munitions we're using, of course, being, bombs, smart missiles, smart bombs, all of the planes that are used to carry these things. This is all expensive. This is expensive warfare. These things are not cheap. It's been an incredibly expensive war so far. They claim the regime claims it costs about $1 billion a day. That is almost certainly a very conservative estimate. It could be 2, 3, 4 times that per day. Even if it is just $1 billion a day, they've already spent more than they would have spent extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies to give health care to millions of Americans and to lower all of our healthcare costs in the process. But, this is important that we do this, apparently. But we don't know that it's important because they didn't tell us why they were doing it. We don't know why they're doing it. They keep giving us different reasons behind it. Are we doing it for a regime change? Are we doing it? They say that we're doing it to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. What? Seriously? We had a deal in place that allowed us to monitor them, that allowed us to watch what they were doing and inspect their facilities and see what they were, basically to actually monitor what they were doing with their materials. And you jumped out of that during your first presidency because you're an asshole and you had to destroy everything with Obama's name on it, even if it didn't actually have his name on it. All in the name of neocons and their desired. They've had a massive erection for a war with Iran for decades. The American people have no, let's just say, we have no interest in this. This feels like a war of choice for no reason. If the actual reason is, well, we can't let this regime have nuclear weapons, are you going to use the same reasoning to attack North Korea, who actually are developing nuclear weapons? The Iranians had sworn that they were not. The supreme leader of Iran felt that if they had pursued nuclear weapons, it would have brought this upon them. Little did he know, not doing it brought it upon them too. Nuclear weapons are one of those things like we invented it and as a people, and we really wish we hadn't. It's a technology that is, well, it's world ending. It's one of those things that you don't ever want to have to use it. Ever. And because you don't want to use it, maybe it's better. It would have been better if we had never had it. I don't know. That's for the philosophers to discuss. I'm just one of you guys. But I can tell you this. Whatever they wanted to do with this, it's a war. It is what it is. You're bombing another country actively every day for 4 weeks. We're hip deep in a war. 13 U.S. service members have died as a direct or indirect consequence of this war. 7 died in the return volleys that followed the very first days of the war. And then 6 U.S. airmen perished on a KC-135 refueling plane when it crashed in Iraq. This whole thing is against the Constitution. It's against the will of the people. Our representatives are supposed to have a voice in whether or not they say spill our blood and treasure in foreign entanglements like this. Say what you will about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. At the very least, the Bush administration, the strategery, the Bush administration went to Congress and got their approval, even if they lied to get it. And they went to the UN and explained what they were doing. We didn't do any of that shit this time. We just straight up did it on our own. Now the Israelis had a lot to do with this too. It's not good that we followed Netanyahu into the war that he's been attempting to start for 40 years. They keep claiming that Iran was weeks away from a nuclear weapon. It's 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. It's the exact same warning that Netanyahu gave in a speech before the United States Congress in, I believe it was 1997. So it's the longest 2 weeks in history. Reminds me of the 2 weeks from Money Pit, the incredible Tom Hanks, Shelley Long movie from 1985, The Money Pit. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. How long will the job take? About 2 weeks. We've also had, because we don't know what the purpose of the war is, we don't know what they're shooting for. We don't know what we're shooting for. That's bad. We don't know what they're attempting to. What does victory look like? We don't have any idea. So we don't know. Donald Trump keeps claiming that the war is over. He's been claiming this for 3 weeks, but we're still fighting, which is weird because that would mean that the war is not over. We keep deploying more and more troops to the region, more and more. Now the Marines are going in. We've got 5,000 Marines that are going to be there in the region. And rumor has it they want to take over Karg Island, which is just off the coast of Iran. It is an Iranian-controlled island, and it is their crude oil processing facility. It processes about 90% of the crude oil from Iran in that region. So, yeah, that would be a big deal if we went and put U.S. troops on this island, which is controlled by Iran, that controls their money. Now, keep in mind, once you take over that island, they're all sitting ducks. They're all just waiting for the Iranians to... and I'd like to point out, this is another thing that nobody points out. It's like this has been out in the ether for a minute. You know, they've been talking about this for like 2 weeks in public. So, I mean, if I'm the Iranians, I'm just saying. Why would you not set up Karg Island to defend it? And they probably are. There are 2 million people in the Iranian army, the standing Iranian army, somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million people. They have plenty of ground troops. 5,000 Marines sounds like a lot, but not compared to like 1.5 million. I mean, and they're not going to use the whole like 1.5 million in one place. Of course, that'd be crazy, but it would be foolish. I don't know. Look, I didn't get to go into the military. I tried. I went trying to get into the Naval Academy, and I failed. I passed all my testing except for the physical. So because I have a ruined kidney, I cannot be a nuclear engineer, and so I'm a podcast host 30 odd years later. That's messed up, isn't it? So I'm not a nuclear engineer, guys. Sorry. I wanted to understand nuclear energy and try and bring it to the masses. But, yeah, I got a wonky pee filter. I don't know. Is there some slang for a kidney? I don't know. Anyway, everything about this war, from the way it was started to the way it's communicated to the way what's going on, like Pete Hegseth and his crazy fucking press conferences, and you know, nobody can report on the war in any way that doesn't please the regime, or they're going to yank their broadcasting licenses. Thank you, Brendan Carr, head of the FCC, Federal Communications Commission. Brendan Carr's a piece of trash. He sucks. He fucking sucks. He's the one that told ABC to cancel Kimmel, and all of us we're like, okay, well, we'll just cancel our Disney Plus then, and screw you, Disney, for not having the balls to stand up to him. And then Disney was like, okay, well, fine, we'll stand up for him. And now he's like, he's threatening to throw Seth Meyers, or he wants Seth Meyers taken off the air. He's gonna, I mean, holy shit! And they call us snowflakes. You know what I'm saying? These shows have been doing political humor since Jack Parr. Even before that, pre-Johnny Carson, to those of you who aren't super old. Oh my God. It's all so stupid, and it's all so foolish, and it's all so reckless. And now we're paying the prices for that. 20% of the world's crude oil runs through a little piece of water called the Strait of Hormuz. Everybody in America, actually, who's paying attention now knows about this place. It's a strip of water between Iran and the UAE. I believe it's UAE, maybe Oman. That's 21 miles across. And because it's so small, it's very easy to put sea mines in it and rocket launchers on the shores and small boats like drone boats and things like that, and they could actually do massive damage to these tankers relatively easily and on the cheap. And that, for some reason, has caused oil companies who own the tankers and the oil inside to say, I don't think we want to take our oil through the strait right now. So there's less oil available on the global market. And even though the United States is a net exporter of oil, if you can sell your oil for $80 a barrel in the United States or for $120 a barrel in the EU, you're going to sell it to the EU. See where I'm going with this? Even though we're quote unquote energy independent, it's a global market for that oil, that crude oil. So the price goes up everywhere because you want to sell it for the most you can get for it, because that's how capitalism works. So our gas prices here in the United States have gone up precipitously. We're looking at almost, I want to say it was 60% increase in 4 weeks. We're over $4 a gallon now. And I think when we started, we were at like $2.30. I think it was $2.35. It may have been more than that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's gone up a lot. In California, over $1 a barrel or over $1 a gallon when I last filled up, which was back in week 1. Yeah, and we're trying not to drive any more than we have to because, think about it, the other thing that's going to happen is because the price of gasoline and diesel and jet fuel goes up, the cost of transporting people or goods is going to go up. So you're seeing it right now in airline fares. They have just doubled instantaneously. The price of getting goods to market is going up. So the prices of the goods at the market is going to go up. So this war will have a massive inflationary effect because of the fact that we're dealing with crude oil, with oil that everybody uses gas. Also liquid natural gas, LNG, also going up. Also fertilizer. 50% of the fertilizer that's used in the world comes from the same region. It's a byproduct of the petroleum. It's all linked together. So if you don't have fertilizer, your crops are not going to be as large or resilient. So we're going to have less of them. And guess what happens when you have less of an item, of a commodity? Its price goes up because the demand isn't going down. So the price of food is going to go down. And people may say, well, I only eat meat. I like steak. What do you think your steak ate before it became a steak? Fertilizer. You need fertilizer to create the feed for the animals that you intend to, the livestock that you intend to eat. Geniuses, a lot of them. Anyway, this war is dumb. And it's already unbelievably expensive. And I'm not talking just in the amount of munitions. I'm talking about the cost to everyday Americans who have to pay more at the pump, who have to pay more at the grocery store, or for to have things delivered. Everything is increasing in cost. Once again, another series of lies. Lies. What's happening right now is real. The lies were no more foreign wars, no more forever wars, no more foolish entanglements, no more wars in the Middle East. Donald Trump ran on that. He screamed that at the top of his lungs all the time. The week before this conflict, it's a war. The week before this war started, we were in active negotiations with the Iranians. What happened? What happened to diplomacy? What happened to exhausting diplomatic options before letting loose the dogs of war? What happened? We don't know. We can only guess. Probably had something to do with Netanyahu because everything seems to. Put this on the list of things that the regime is doing to distract from the fact that they're corrupt and abusive. And they continue to make unbelievable amounts of money off of the presidency. I mean, crazy amounts of money. Donald Trump has learned that he can manipulate the stock market based off of things that he says. So anonymous people make anonymous trades, blah, blah, blah. And then 5 minutes later, Donald Trump makes an announcement about postponing the war stuff. And the price on those stocks goes up. And whoever made that big buy makes a ton of money. And right before the weekend, they sell all that stuff off at the higher price. And then Donald Trump says, well, we're going back to bombing them. And the price plummets so that the cycle can be repeated. Corruption, abuse, rampant. I can't say this enough. We desperately, desperately, desperately need to have some sort of check on this awful administration. And it could be anyone at this point. It could be Congress. It could be the federal court system. It could be the mainstream media. It could be the tech bros. It could be the American people. We're going to get to this in a second. No kings on Saturday. It could be anyone standing up. The states are starting to stand up to this regime, and they have to. They have to stand up now, or there won't be anything left to stand up for. Democracy is on the line, and they are trying like hell. The regime is trying like hell to make sure that we do not have a free and fair election in November. They will fail. They will fail. They will fail. Because we will crawl through broken glass. We will crawl through fire and coals and barbed wire to vote against the destruction of our society, our country, our world, our future. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Need proof? Need proof? Yesterday, March 24th. Tuesday, March 24th. There was a special election for 3 seats in Florida, all held by Republicans, all in Trump plus 7 or plus 11, plus 40. I think the last one was plus 40. 2 of those 3, the closer ones, were flipped, including the plus 11 district, Florida House District 87, I think it is. 87, 67, one of those. Flipped by a woman named Emily Gregory. And she outperformed Kamala Harris in this district by 13 points. That should sound familiar because we have a tendency to overperform by 13 points. What's cool about that district? It's the home to Donald Trump himself. Mar-a-Lago is located in Florida House District 8767. It's really, it would be good of me to write stuff down because then I wouldn't sound so unknowledgeable. Unknowledgeable? I don't even know if that's a word. Ignorant. There you go. I would have more credibility, that's for sure. Wop, wop, wop. Donald Trump is now represented by a Democrat in the Florida State House. Also, he voted by mail in that election. He voted by mail in this election, this special election. Voted by mail, the thing that he's trying to ban in the United States. Voting by mail. He's trying to ban voting by mail. because he claims that it's rife with fraud and abuse, and that we're the only country that does it, which we're not, when almost every country does massive vote by mail. There are states in the United States, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, that are almost entirely vote by mail. California is headed that direction. Now, I will say this about my home state, California. We have got to be better at counting these fucking ballots and getting the numbers in quicker, because it opens the door for the fuckery of the Republican Party, and we do not want that. Shout out Tim Miller of the Bulwark, who keeps saying that out loud on basically any program that'll have him. We believe in voting. We believe in mail-in voting, but you have to get your shit together and get the votes counted and done and in. So, California, assholes in charge, please count the votes faster. We will not let them take our future from us. We can't. We have to show our discontent. Peacefully, mind you, peacefully. But it is imperative that we exercise our power not just at the ballot box, not just in protesting, but also in boycotting and choosing where we do or do not spend our money. Pay attention, sign up for things, sign up for newsletters like Indivisible, like nokings.org. Follow what's going on platforms that are independent media. Find out, keep abreast of what's going on in the courts through Democracy Docket, which is run by Mark Elias, who is an absolute freaking hero for the work that he does to protect democracy in this country. The Elias Law Group, they are legit defenders of democracy and liberty and the country. They're doing yeoman's work. Bless them. Keep up to speed. Know your enemy. Don't turn your back on them. Wear your whistle. Be mindful. ICE is still operating everywhere in this country with a massive, massive budget. I don't want to talk about ICE. I do not want to talk about ICE. But these fuckers. I heard Jesse Waters on Fox News say, why do Democrats have a problem with ICE at the polls? If undocumented immigrants don't vote, why do Democrats have a problem with ICE agents at the polls? Okay, Jesse Waters, you crotch smoker. First of all, it's against the law. We have a ban on armed federal agents being at polling places for a reason. No one wants to vote in the presence of armed federal agents, regardless of their citizenship, because we know who runs ICE. We know who's calling the shots for them. And we know they don't care about the law anymore. So I hope states and municipalities understand that when ICE shows up at those polling places, they are in violation of the law. And that it is the duty of the state and local police forces. Anyway, law enforcement agencies to ensure the safety of the citizens and to remove federal agents from polling places where they have no business. None. So, Jesse Waters, do you want to vote surrounded by the Black Panthers if they're armed? No, because it's voter intimidation. Nobody wants voter intimidation, and that's what ICE at the polls will be. They're pushing really hard to do this. Now, there aren't that It's like there's this horrible disconnect in the world of what's possible for these people and their little tiny peanut-sized dinosaur brains. Do you know how many polling places there are in this country? You know how many polling places there are just in California? Also, if you think you're going to stop us from voting, you're out of your minds. I already said we were crawling through the glass and the burning hot coals, the barbed wire. You think a couple fat guys in Kevlar with a mask on are going to stop us? No. No. You're going to have to do a lot better than that. We ain't messing around. This war is just another thing. It's a huge thing, but it's just another thing that this administration has done, this regime. God damn it, Trent. Another thing that this regime has done that should earn them impeachment and removal, criminal charges, treason, knowingly spitting in the face of our founding fathers, the Constitution itself. Disgusting. Spitting in the face of the American people, launching a war with no input from our representatives. All because the Mad King decided it was a good idea. We're about to send a little message to the Mad King this Saturday, March 28th. No Kings returns. My favorite protest. I have a No Kings poster that I made, the very first one of these, and I keep just dragging it out. It's the same one. Woohoo! It works. No Kings, baby. None of this is real. None of this is normal. None of this is real. It's all real. None of it's normal. There's a No Kings protest somewhere near you, and if there's not, you are the new No Kings protest. Find out what's going on at nokings.org. Okay? There is a protest near you. There is a protest 2 blocks from my house. It's so close, I could walk there. I'm not going to because I'll be worn out before the 2-hour protest. But I'm going to drive over closer, and then I'm going to walk the rest of the way, and then I'm going to have fun with my sign and my whistle and my loudspeaker. Yes, let's do this. Going to play some protest songs, probably some Edwin Starr. Put that on the list. I got, I got rid of Spotify, so I got to make a new protest songs playlist on the whatever the free one is that I'm using. Shit. Berg. I don't have a free one, actually. It's Apple, isn't it? Damn it. Oh, well, I can do that. I can do this. You can do this, Trent. Focus. No Kings is coming up. Over 3,800 planned events. And in the words of the people at Indivisible and No Kings, if you are not within 30 minutes of a protest, start your own. I think that's fucking brilliant for the record. And there are hundreds of protests for Southern California where I am. I will be going to the local one. I will be going with my family. I will drag them to it if I have to. The girls don't like going to these because they're loud. So I'm going to they're going to give them some hearing protection, and we're going to go. We're going to go rock and roll. This is a chance for us to send a message. A message that they can't ignore. Millions of Americans are going to take to the streets on Saturday, protesting all of this regime's horrible ideas. All of the things that they do that just piss us off. Everything from the way they pretend to do immigration enforcement, which isn't immigration enforcement at all. It's wicked violation of people's rights. To the way that they handle infrastructure, to the way that they've handled our economy, to the way that they tariff things, to the way that they've launched wars in all over the planet with no fucking authorization. Venezuela, Yemen. I guess technically the Yemen one might be a stretch on the war on terror authorization that needs to be repealed. We don't like anything that they're doing, including hiding the Epstein files that are still a thing. By the way, other countries are investigating on their end, the powerful people who helped make this happen. So just because the United States continues to cover it up doesn't mean that it's going to stay covered up. Just wait. There's some international things going on here, and emails come from somewhere too. You know what I'm saying? Evidence is on both sides. We are not powerless. We are not feckless. We are not voiceless. That's the real power of America. The real power of this country, the real power of democracy is that the people hold the power. We entrust individuals to be stewards of that power from time to time, but always, they have that power by consent of the governed. And we are telling them, we do not consent to what you're doing. And we've got to be pretty vocal about it. So I will see you out there on No King's Day, either actually in person or spiritually, because I believe in you. I believe in us, and you should too. Like Edwin Starr. War ain't good for nothing. But what we're doing is really important. Let's stop it. That's going to do it for this fine episode. I'm going to try to get back on Friday. I think George is coming back. He's been on a different work assignment and hasn't been available at the same times that I have for No Plan, No Problem. You can catch all the back episodes of No Plan, No Problem if you haven't done that. There are like 15, 18 episodes, something like that. It is a really interesting listen. Okay? Just two dads talking stuff. Sometimes it mirrors this podcast and sometimes it really doesn't at all. But I'll be back soon, and hopefully George will be back soon and we can do another No Plan, No Problem. Until next time, I want to say thank you all very much for being with me on this journey. It means the world to me. I appreciate you. It's the year of appreciation. Till next time, be good humans. Stay safe. Stay strong. I know I'm adding stuff. It's a big moment. Okay? I believe in you. Until next time. Ciao.